So we are live. Hello. Can you hear me? So you just need to request to join.
I just did. Can you hear me?
There you go. I can hear you now.
Okay.
Oh, your face. I can't see your eyes, so you need to
Yeah,
come
I'm
down.
gonna adjust. I'm gonna adjust it.
Okay. Okay.
One sec.
Hmm? Can you hear me? Okay. Oh, your face. I can't see your eyes, so you need to come down.
I'm gonna adjust.
Nice.
How about I'm trying to find the
Yeah. Oh, okay. You may need something to
perfect.
like hold it down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because if not, this thing will be sliding easily. Let's try.
Okay. Hope you can see you.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah. I can
yeah.
see you.
Let's shift it back a little bit.
Hi, Chi. Hello. Thank you, everyone, for joining. So we're just gonna get right in. Is it good now, Leia?
Um, I'm gonna shift it back a little bit. How about now?
Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
Okay, perfect.
Nice. Okay, welcome everybody. So this is our first official live, and I am very, 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 very excited. Our guest today is Leye Ojo, the legendary.
Legendary.
Oh my goodness, I'm actually excited. So the series is basically the journey so far, and the purpose of it is basically for I want to bring people on, fix your finance that have actually done this journey of getting debt free and actually getting their finances in order, and for them to share, the difference between when it wasn't so great and now afterwards that they have, a plan in place. Because at the end of the day, I know for me personally, what helped me um to actually stay focused on this financial journey is the renewing of the mind that happens, because there's so many things we believe or we think we know about money, especially in North America, that are not necessarily true. And it's not until you've overcome them that you actually realize, wait, so this thing is actually possible, or this thing is actually legit awesome. So that's the purpose of today. So my notes are down here. I'm going to try as much as possible not to look down too much, but that's basically just an intro, just to get everybody to understand why we're here and what we're going to be doing. And in the process, if you have any questions, just hit the question button. And then, Leia will answer questions. I too will answer questions. It could be about anything and everything finance related. So I guess before we go into Leia, I just wanted to say something about when it comes to getting your finances in order. At the end of the day, the purpose is not just so, you can be one somebody that has arrived, for lack of a better word. The whole purpose is to redeem time, because, and I know Leia will share because you've experienced it, your prayer
Mm,
points will change when your finances are in order. Trust me.
mm-hmm.
Like your the way you approach life, the way you approach decision making, the way you approach in general is gonna change once you just simply getting on a budget alone. Your
Mm,
decision making will change. So at
mm.
the end of the day, that's the purpose behind everything. So we're just gonna get ready. So okay, please can you introduce yourself to us? Let people
Um,
know who this uncle is.
okay. So my full name is actually Olaleye. But
Mm,
my friends call me Leye, right? My colleagues call me Ola at work, so it's kind of like a bit of both. So
yeah.
sometimes if you're around my colleagues and they're like Ola, Ola, you'd be wondering what's going on. But really, it's just the first part of my name, right?
Mm.
So my full name is Olaleye. When you mean introduction, is it from a financial point of view or just in general? I didn't have
However you
something in
want, you
mind.
can talk about money straight up. We can go right. I think we can actually go right
Okay,
into it because I'm
okay.
excited and we only have 1 hour. So let's maximize it.
Okay, I'll go from a financial point of view
Mm,
with this introduction, right? So for me, my own personal journey, I'll
mm,
say, started about 6 years ago. But the journey itself didn't kick up until like about 3 years ago. So six
Okay.
years ago, I went to Houston, right? I have family in Houston, right? My cousins are in Houston. So I went to Houston, and then I was in the car with my cousin, and he was playing this Dave Ramsey CD in his car. Then it was CD, right? It wasn't podcast or anything, right?
Mm.
So he was talking about how he got all of these Dave Ramsey CDs, and he was playing one of it in car, right? And there was something that I could remember that Dave Ramsey said. He was like, "Oh, you shouldn't treat yourself if you are faced with special situations or circumstances. Like, for example, if you get a promotion at work, you shouldn't just go, flex and blow up all your money.
No
You should,
reflex.
yeah, yeah, you should stay humble and you should just
Yeah.
like stay true to your budget. Or
Yeah.
if something, drastic should happen to you, maybe a loss of a family member, or even maybe you lose your job also, right? If you
Mm.
lose your job, you shouldn't just like go and blow up all your money and
Yeah.
just lavish and spend, right? And then I
Yeah.
could hear that and I was like, what's this guy saying? Like, so if I want to enjoy life or if I want to
Yeah.
enjoy, my money, I can't. So when he said that, I was like, I'm not even
I
ready for this
beg
kind of guy, right?
left.
Yeah. And then my cousin kind of explained like, oh, Dave Ramsey's this guy, and yeah, he used to be so rich, but he had all this and debt, and then eventually started all this program and all that. And in my mind, I'm like, yeah, yeah, whatever.
Mm.
So I came back to Calgary, and then I was talking to this my friend, right? And I was explaining exactly what I'm explaining to you to this my friend,
Yeah.
right? My friend Sean, you know Sean, right? We
Yeah.
are friends, all of our friends. So I was referring to Sean. I was like, yo, can you imagine that there was this guy that was listening to Dave Ramsey and he was saying all of this rubbish, and Sean was just nodding her head. She was like,
Yeah. Shay
yeah,
is actually also
true,
going to be
yeah.
on the live too, so I'm excited for her own too.
Yeah. So she, but our friend she already started her own
She had.
journey, and she
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
already in it. Yes, she was
Yeah.
already in her journey, and she was like succeeding with her journey, right? But me, I was just saying like, oh, this guy, what rubbish! I can't be saying all sorts. Like, can I
Mm.
flex? I don't enjoy my money and stuff. And being the wise friend that she was, she didn't say anything. She didn't like force anything on me. She just kept her mouth shut and just said nothing her head and let me
Mm.
just rant and just kept it there. And then as time passed, I just started getting more interested in the guy. Right? I was like, this Dave Ramsey guy, who is he and stuff, right? And then I started talking to Show about him. I was like, yo, Dave Ramsey, Dave Ramsey. She was like, oh yeah, by the way, you can listen to his podcast and you can
Yeah.
read his book or you can do this, you can do that. And then I started listening to his podcast, right? I used to live like 30 minutes away from work. So every
Yeah.
time I was coming from work
Too true.
or going back to work or going back home, or when I was going to work rather and going back home, I would listen to his podcast, right? And I did that for like a year.
Mm.
Trust me, I had not started anything. I had all of this, debt, car loans. I had credit cards. I
Yeah.
borrowed money here and there. I
Full
was
life insurance.
struggling. Yeah, no life insurance, no plans. I was struggling. I barely could even spend so much of my money. Like, as the money's into your bank account, your
Poop
car,
out.
your car, no loans, car straight up.
Mm.
That's the first thing they take out. Pa, the car,
Too fast.
and eventually insurance, pa, out, and then all the bills, right? And I was left with nothing much, right? So I started listening to the podcast, right? And on the podcast, I could hear different stories and people's story and journeys, right? And back to back stories and stories and stories. And I did this for like a year. I
Mm.
did nothing. I started nothing, and I was listening to this podcast for like a year, right? And it
Nice.
kept going on and going on and going on. And then one day I decided, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy his book. I'm just gonna try this. I was like, I'm gonna try this and I'm gonna buy his book, right?
Mm.
But by then, some of my friends had financial plans for themselves.
Yeah.
Um, so sorry, someone is saying that they are waiting. I don't know if they're not able to join this.
No, I think
Normally, this
everybody is they're able to come on.
okay, it should be on my
Mm.
it should be on my page. I hope
Oh,
they
okay.
can join. So so then some of my friends had financial plans for themselves, and I didn't
Yeah.
have any, right? I was just spending my money, struggling, living paycheck to paycheck, right? But then Dave Ramsey gave me an opportunity, like the whole Dave Ramsey process gave me an opportunity to actually look at my finances and say, okay, I need a plan and I need to do something about my money.
Yeah.
I need to do something about my finances. And this was, like I said, about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So the process of me listening to Dave Ramsey for the first time about 6 years ago, to the process of me actually starting it, it took about 2 years
Yeah.
to actually start listening to the podcast. And then the process of listening to the podcast for like a year to when I decided I was going to do something was about 3 years, right?
Yeah.
So this initial journey was 3 years of me not doing anything with my money.
But
Now,
in the process,
I
your mind was being renewed though.
exactly. So
Yeah.
exactly there was
Yeah.
something happening on the inside
Yeah.
of me, right? The more I was listening to this podcast, the more I was talking to my friend, sharing about it, the more I was, I don't know if I was talking to anyone else. I think I was talking to you and Kenny also. I
Yeah.
think the conversation was always like, what's going on with our money and stuff, right? So we
Yeah.
used to talk about money, we used to talk about prosperity, we used to talk about, finances and what we can really do
Being
with our
good
money.
stewards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like even giving more. We talk about
Yeah.
giving more, about, families that are doing so well financially, and, about, we used to talk about all of these things, right? But then I didn't have a
Mm.
plan, right? And I was struggling, I'll be very honest too.
Yeah.
Um, um, I used to say like my struggle was as bad as sometimes, when the money gets into your account and then about 90% is going to bills, and payments and
Loans.
loans and all that, you're left with
Mm.
10%, right? And the 10% you want to give something, or even families
Mm.
back home,
You'll be
or
vexing you to give, safe.
yeah, exactly, right. People are like, yo, we're trying to do this new thing, and you're like sitting there and like, okay, but I can't do it. Or your friends are like, yo, let's go eat out, or there's someone's birthday and people are trying to do stuff, and you're just there like looking at your checkings and savings account.
All you can order is appetizer.
Yeah, my friends have probably called me multiple times then, see me transferring some change from, savings to check-ins right on the
Mm.
spot, because I mean, so our card do not decline,
Mm.
So all of that. So back to the journey, right? So then I read the book. Well, I actually didn't read the book. I listened to the book because he
Okay.
had this audio
Oh
version, and
yeah.
since I was already doing the podcast thing, I just
Mm.
continued with the whole book, right? So I listened to the book. I took down the processes, the 7 baby steps. I wrote
Yep.
everything down, everything that was said in the book,
Mm-hmm.
from the beginning to the end.
Yeah.
I wrote everything down and I planned everything. And I was like, you know what? Bam, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And then I was like, yep, I'm doing this. And then I don't know, God, I think God was just so faithful about all of this that
No, I don't think
when
it's.
I
I
made,
think when you decide, like
yeah,
they always say, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. When you decide,
hmm
all of a sudden, it just
yeah,
has to click.
yeah, things start
Yeah.
to happen for you, right? And
Yeah.
then like God was so faithful that the moment I decided, I went to work that morning,
Mm.
and then I got to work, and then I was like the security, like at security post to get into
Yeah.
my place of work, right? And I was talking to those guys. I was like, "Yo, how's it going?" And just checking in and all that, right? And then one of
Yeah.
them was like, "Yo, I do this delivery thing," and I was like, "Oh, what delivery thing?" And I was like, "Skip the dishes." I was like, "What's
Nice.
that? Like, what's that all about?" And then I was like, "Yo, I just skip the dishes and I make $100 here. I make $200 here, and in a week I make $300. Another week I make $400." And in my mind, I was like, man,
Chairman.
this will go forehand, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine people out there, see me carry, skip the dishes and stuff.
Uh,
And and there was this ego thing that was going on there. But because I knew that I had to be true to myself, and I knew that, yo, it's not about what the world can see, it's about
yeah.
you being true to yourself, it's about, being right with yourself, right? I told myself, yo, I'm doing this journey. My income right now cannot help me pay off
Get to where you
these
want.
debts,
Yeah.
right? You get me? It cannot help me plan all these processes that I'm trying to go through.
Mm.
I need to do something. So then I started Skip. I started doing Skip the dishes, right?
Nice.
I registered my car. I got the bags. I planned my time.
Nice.
And everyone around me, like all my friends knew I was doing Skip, because you call me
Mm-hmm.
in the evening and they'll be like, yo, where you
I'm
going? Are you
out and
driving
about.
around?
Forget.
And I'm like, yo, I'm out and about, right? I was doing like 4 times a week. There are a couple of, church members that had even seen me while I was doing Skip the dishes. They'll see me walking into the restaurant with my skip bag and they're like, Leye, you? And I'm like, yo, you don't even want to know, right?
You don't. You can't understand.
You don't want to know. So I started doing that, and then
Mm.
I planned my finances, right, and then I planned the baby steps, and then I like laid everything out, and I did skip the dishes for like a year and a half.
Nice.
I think about 2 years.
Mm.
I just stopped doing it. I think about a year now. So I did for like 2 years. Went through the process, kept building my finances. I got a promotion at work, so that was more
Nice.
income for me. I got more income, and I paid off my car, because what happened was
Mm-hmm.
this: I didn't actually buy my car. I paid a little bit for it, and then I financed the rest, right?
Yeah.
So I think I paid about 5 grand, and then I financed the rest.
Yeah.
So I still had car loans to pay, right? So then I paid off my car. I paid off my credit card. I paid off those I was owing. I was just owing all over the place. So I was
Yeah.
able to like, write everything out. I paid off everyone I was owing. And I just kind of like, just got myself out of debt, right?
Yeah.
Which is kind of like the first baby step, right? And I did all of
Second.
that. sorry, the first one is actually
Mm-hmm.
saving the $1,000, by the way. Sorry. So I did the first one too. So I did the first one, saved all of that, and I went to the second one, and I did all of that, and I paid that off, and I've been doing that since then. So that has
Nice.
kind of been my journey of or my introduction to
Narrow
how
introduction.
I'm here. So yeah, that's been what I've done so far in regards to
Yeah.
that journey of being able to stand in front of you and say I'm debt free, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's me,
Okay.
Leye.
Okay, you kind of touched on some of my questions already, but I'm still gonna ask a few. So, the first one is you talked about the journey so far. So, I guess the question I want to know is what triggered it? When was that? You know what? I'm tired of budget not balancing, not having enough money at the end of the month. I'm just, you know what? I gotta get my act together. You know what triggered this? Like, what did something happen, or was it just you just woke up and you're just like, I'm doing this?
Um, okay, I'll be honest with you. I think one thing, okay, one of the things that triggered it was the fact that my friends had a plan and I didn't. So there were times when we would meet and we'll talk, right? We'll drink and
I
we'll talk
remember
about
those
stuff, right?
days.
And we'll have all these plans of what we want to do with our lives or what we want to do with our future, and what we want to do with our money. And I
Mm,
was in that conversation and I had nothing to offer. I had nothing to
mm,
say because I was struggling.
mm,
So that was one of the triggers, right? Like I remember one of the conversations that we had, and I went back home and I was like, you know what? Nope, no, no, this is not going to be my case in 5 years' time. I gotta
mm,
have something to say when we meet. I've gotta have something to say. Like, I think it's just I think it's the idea of peer pressure or like having good friends around you.
mm.
Yeah, you
Well, I
having
won't
friends that are
necessarily.
able to motivate and
Yeah,
make you want to be better at something. I think
yeah,
that's what really happened there. You're
yeah.
gonna say something.
I was gonna say, like, you know, the way the Bible talks about being surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses, right? So it's like you said, even just connecting with like some of the audio and whatnot, you're renewing your mind without even knowing it. And then the more
hmm
you
hmm
associate with those kind of people, and then you're like, you
hmm
know what, I have to do this, or I have to
hmm
get this done. Okay.
So yeah, definitely, I'll say that was the first trigger for me, and then the
Mm,
rest is just being able to look at your finances and just seeing that you're
yeah.
struggling. I just want to do better, but I definitely know, like I remember that day, I was like, you know what, my friends have a plan, I don't, and I'm just sitting there in conversations, and I'm not doing anything, so I need to do
Mm,
something.
mm.
I think that was the first thing.
Okay. Um, so I see a question here on the group chat before I go to my question. Ah, nice. So Tolu is asking, how does it feel to be debt free?
Uh, honestly, it makes me sleep better at night.
Bruh,
It makes me
bruh.
actually sleep better at night.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the biggest one. My credit card was the last one that I paid off. I
Mm.
remember the day at work, it was during work actually that I made that phone call because I was like, nope, I'm doing this today.
Right
So
now.
during one of my lunch breaks, I just, went like out to the side and I was like, yo, call the credit card company. I was like, I'm gonna cancel this. And they're like, oh, we can offer you this, we can offer you that. You
Mm,
shouldn't know, cancel this, you should cancel
mm,
that. Yo, what about we give you this $500 credit card kind of thing to make you think about it? It's gonna affect your credit scores and all that. I'm like, nope, 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 I'm doing this, I'm doing this right now. Are you sure and stuff? Like you should think about this, give it a week or and
mm.
then I canceled and then I got a scissors and I cut everything off and I was like, yeah,
Nice.
I'm done. So how does it feel? Really to answer that question, it makes you sleep well at night. You're not worrying about some things anymore. I
Mm.
don't worry about like for example a car company coming after my car kind of thing, right?
Yep.
I don't worry about that. Or even like me getting a phone call from like one of these, I don't know, their
Collection agencies.
collections, right?
Mm,
And trying to like give me a better offer for something I'm owing. I don't do any of those. I don't worry about that. So
mm.
definitely I would say it makes me sleep at night. It makes me look younger. It makes me, I'm not worried about that. I'll be honest with you. I'll say that's the biggest one for me.
Mm.
Not necessarily the calculations and all that, but it's just the
Yeah.
feeling of being free.
Yeah.
That's what is really big for me.
Yeah. And like we kind of touched on when we first started, at the end of the day, once you get yourself on this financial journey and you're actually doing it, your prayer point itself will change.
Oh
I think
yeah,
that's
for
the
real,
biggest,
for
like
real.
the way your mind is free, when you're not
Mm-hmm,
thinking about bills or waste, like debt,
mm-hmm,
it's
mm-hmm,
just, man, it really frees up your
mm-hmm,
mind.
mm-hmm,
Okay.
mm-hmm. You can give more, you can do more. Like
Yeah, I
yeah,
think the
yeah,
giving
yeah.
is
Well,
just, it's amazing.
Oh yeah,
It's
yeah.
really
That's the
amazing.
biggest part. That's the biggest
Yeah,
part.
that's the best part.
I
You
know, I
know,
know.
yeah. Do you have okay, we'll get there. I'm gonna get there before I jump the gun. Okay. um, so I guess you've already spoken about when you made the choice, you know, what you're getting and whatnot. So I guess where are you right now? So you mentioned you're doing the baby steps, right? So like
Mm.
where what section are you at? Are you're debt free, we bless God. So like what stage are you at? Baby steps? Are you trying to take over the world right now?
I'm laughing because I've did all the I've said all these things that make me look like, oh, this guy has got it figured out, and like, yeah, he's really doing this, baby steps, and he's really getting this
Mm,
debt-free thing going. Well, I'll be honest with you, where I am right now is I'm a little bit stuck. I'll use the word stuck. Stuck in
mm,
that I've been on baby step three for like a year. So
mm,
I'm sure most people that follow your the Fix It Finance have seen the baby steps, right? It's all
mm-hmm.
seven of them, right?
Yeah.
So there's one, two, all the way to seven. Um, two is where you pay off, all your debt except your mortgage, and then three is where you kind of save an emergency fund,
Emergency
right?
fund. Yeah.
Yeah, for the future, and for anything that could come up. I've been stuck on that for a year.
Mm.
Um, so I think the urgency is not there like it was when I was at baby step two. So
And you know what? I think people actually should appreciate that. You know.
hmm
Yeah.
hmm
There's
hmm I mean,
definitely I
I
know
mean,
what you
I mean,
mean.
this is the part that shows you you're not perfect, but you have to like push through. So that's
Intentionality. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that was it for me, right? I realized that this thing is something that you have to go all the way to the end.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I've been on three for like a year, and I've been working hard to get out of three and get into
Mm.
four.
Yeah.
It's not been easy. I'll be honest with you. It's not been easy. Why? Because you're wanting to do all of these things because you have more
All this
funds.
free cash flow now.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
you have
The
you
free
have
cash flow
more,
will
yeah, you
distract
have
you.
more money right now. So you wanted to do all of these things, and you have plans. To be honest, you have
Yeah.
plans for your
Yeah.
finances, right? And you always have plans. Like right for baby step one or to baby step seven, you always have plans, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at three, you kind of like relax and you're feeling like, okay, now I can do this. Now I
Mm.
can do that. Now I can
Mm.
go on this vacation. Now I can buy this
Mm.
thing for myself, and it
Mm.
kind of slows down the process for you.
Yes,
And
it
that's
does.
what I noticed. So
Yeah.
I've been on three for like a year. I'm hoping to get out of three.
Okay.
I'm
So
working
that's
hard
the
to get
goal
out
for
of three.
2020.
I'm telling you. Well,
By
yeah,
December
2020,
31st.
2021. Yeah, amen. So I'm working to get out of three. Something I've been doing for a year, and I hope to do it.
Okay.
I have a plan, but I know I'm using a board, but I'm gonna put that plan to work. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna put that plan to work, and
Nice.
hopefully I can get out soon.
Okay. Okay. Um, so I guess the next question is what's the biggest takeaway from this journey? Like what's the biggest takeaway like that you've learned or not necessarily yeah, what's the biggest takeaway? Let me leave it there. Don't let me taint your answer.
The biggest takeaway, um, okay, so this journey for me, what really comes to mind when I think about this journey is how I'm creating a legacy for
Mm,
my kids, for my grandkids. I
mm,
think that's one thing that is the biggest takeaway for me.
mm.
There was this one time, long time ago, I was reading about how a wise man leaves, wealth for his children to leave,
Yeah,
right? You get me?
yeah, yeah.
And like and then there's also the we shall lend money to nations, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so
Trying to
like
get in my
and
church
I think
mind, yeah.
about those two things and I look at myself and I'm like, I'm not working towards that. But with this
Mm,
process of even getting out of debt and even planning a future for myself, I then have something to give my kids.
yeah.
I think about how I'm able to answer questions about finances when it comes to even just like, hey dad,
Regular
what do you think
conversation.
about this? Or mom, what do you think about this? Or even your family coming together to talk about it. So even friends, right? You're in the midst of friends and you guys are having conversation about money, and then you have something to say, or you
Yeah.
have something to be like, yo, you can try this, you can try that. This can work over 5 years, this can work over 2 years. I've tried this, I've tried that.
Mm,
So like I said, a legacy is the biggest takeaway for me. There's
mm.
the part where, like we've mentioned, I'm able to give more, I'm able to do
Yes.
more, but still is that legacy that I'm super excited about
Yes.
because I have a plan now, and
Mm.
I have something that I can pass down to my kids,
Yes,
and something that I can teach them to pass down to their own kids,
exactly.
and that culture can just keep going on and going on, right?
Exactly.
I do thank God for like my parents and the things they passed down to me, but I
Mm-hmm.
could definitely say, financial freedom was not one of those things.
Yeah.
But they passed down so much to me, and I do thank God for that. And I
Mm-hmm.
know, like, even being diligent with money, being integrity is another big one that I know my parents passed down to me. But yet, there's the actual part of having a plan about your finances that I didn't really
Yeah.
get. But now I can add that plus the things they've passed down to me, package all of that and then put it
And
in the
then
lap of my
transfer.
kids.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly right.
Mm.
So I'll say the legacy that I'm able to build is the biggest one for me.
Yeah.
And then all the other things that might happen in the future, the properties,
Hello.
the houses,
You know.
and all of that will call. But the
Yeah.
education is first, and then
Mm.
when you merge with all of that
But it
property,
even it, getting everything in order even allows you dream because no offense,
oh
6 years
yeah,
ago, 4 years ago, property and all these other things is like the last thing I think about because you've
mm-mm,
not even
mm-mm,
paid your
mm-mm,
car notes.
mm-mm,
So you're not even
mm-mm,
thinking about
mm-mm.
owning real estate,
Nope, nope, nope.
And
Mm-mm,
like
mm-mm.
I was having a conversation with someone the other day, just about this whole finance thing, and the person wasn't really convinced. And in my mind, I was just like, even if all you can do is
Mm.
pass down a like for example, save for your children's university so that they never have to take student loan. That alone
Exactly.
is something because student loans
Exactly.
right now are
Yep,
ridiculous. But
yep,
like
yep,
I
yep.
know people that are starting out their lives with like thousands of dollars, like
Mm-hmm,
hundreds of
mm-hmm,
thousands in
mm-hmm,
student
mm-hmm,
loans. Like, if all you can do is leave
mm,
a legacy whereby your student never have to borrow for school,
mm,
that
mm,
is something in and of
mm,
itself. That
mm,
alone,
mm, mm.
like Tolu is saying, I always talk about starting the old money trend. Like, I want to
Yep.
be the one to start that one. If like when they're talking about old money, let them be talking about
Yeah,
my line. Do
exactly.
you
Yeah,
get?
let me start with my generation. I was like, oh,
Exactly.
my dad
So that
moved
our
to
children too will
Canada.
say they come from old
Uh,
money. Yeah.
exactly. My dad moved to Canada and then he started the old money thing, right? And just to add on to what you just said, right? I really
Mm.
think that there's a culture from where we come from in Nigeria that our parents pay for our schools, right?
Yes.
Our parents, pay our school fees and we don't have to borrow, right? And then we move here, and then we see a different culture where the government is able to provide student loans, and then we as parents relax and they say, you know what, go get that
Yeah, on
student
your
loan.
own. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. I'm hoping that won't be the case, right? I'm hoping that the things that our parents did for us back in Nigeria, we can actually continue that here in Canada.
Yeah.
And
And
then
it's
our kids,
very possible.
oh yeah,
I
it
think
is,
the
it
thing is
is.
most people think it's impossible. Like there
No.
are there are there are families where the children never have to like bank. The family is set up such that the assets of the family is a bank in and of itself.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. True,
And like you're
true,
saying, the
true.
legacy piece, you want to pass it down, but then you also want to pass down the knowledge too, because we're not trying to raise
Yeah.
any trust fund babies here,
Yeah, exactly,
But yeah,
exactly. Yeah, there's
yeah,
there's definitely that aspect. Just but like I said, if you even talk to some when I talk to some of my colleagues, and the first thing they usually mention when it comes to finances is that, oh, I have all of these student loans to pay.
yeah,
I usually just thank God for my life that, okay, yeah, I thank God for my parents that they paid all of this school fees for me, and I want to keep that going. I want to keep that I want to keep that flowing in my own
yeah,
family and in just
yeah,
the families to come and all that, right? So
yeah,
being able to plan that right now is actually great. And then you
yeah.
can then see it, come out, or you can then see it come to actualization in the future
Mm-hmm.
in your life. It's something that I do want to do, and it's something that I'm looking forward to,
Looking
in all
forward to for
honesty.
sure. Okay. You kind of touched on this already, but in terms of like the struggle with completing the emergency fund section, but like any other struggle in the journey so far, like what is the biggest struggle or what was the biggest struggle?
uh budgeting.
Ah, the B word. You know what's actually funny? Leye, you know what's funny? You remember? I don't know if you remember this conversation. We had it like last year or something. We were talking, and I
Hmm.
actually used it as a quote on the Fix It
Mm,
Finance page. You were like,
mm,
we were gisting about your budget because I was following up
mm,
with you, just asking,
mhm,
like,
mhm,
you okay?
mhm,
How far? How's it going? And you were like,
mhm.
yo, man, Kyle, your budget will expose you to yourself.
I'm
When
telling
you
you,
said
I'm
that, I
telling you,
laughed so hard.
I'm telling you, to tell who you really are. I'm telling you, like my budget has been that one thing that I now know what self-control looks like in my life.
Ah,
and I don't know what I can just walk away from and what I'm like, Lord, I need your help. I'll be honest with you because there's some things you're like, you know what, it's fine, I can do it. And there's some things that just come and you're like, Lord, I'm sorry, I just have to do this. And then you buy it, and then later on you're like talking to God, and you're like, God, you should have helped me now. I didn't help here. Maybe I should have bought this. But by the way, though, so that's by the way. But really though, my budget has been another thing that I've struggled with, but I've learned from. So so budgeting for me in the past used to be a struggle in that I like fancy things.
It's
I like
okay. Own it. Own it. Own it. Own
I
it.
like good things. I'll be honest. I like good things. If I go to buy something, for example, if I go to buy a shoe, I won't go to Walmart to buy a shoe.
Basketballers club. What do you mean?
Yeah.
What's wrong with Walmart shoe?
Wait, no, there's nothing wrong, but it's not gonna last. That's my
I'm
challenge.
joking. I'm
So
joking. I'm actually
yeah,
joking.
yeah, exactly. So it's not gonna last, right? So I would not go to Walmart to buy a shoe, but I can now based on budget. Don't get me wrong. Like I've grown, so it's not about I have grown. But let me just tell you where I used to be. So I would want to buy something really nice. I mean, you want it to last, you want it to look good on you. You want to, look at it and, regardless of the price, you want to, you want to ball in it, right? But then I've also always been someone that I used to word to my friend Kaku when we were
What does
talking.
that mean?
So Kaku means is like you are economical. I don't want to use the word you compare prices, you compare
Okay, so basically, before you
quality.
buy like a PS5, you check Best Buy, what you check
Oh
everything
yes,
before you.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
I'll probably so I'm not one of the guy that goes into the mall and just buy something and then leave. I'll probably check like 5 places for the same one thing I want to buy. I'll compare the prices and if it's off and all of that. So basically, I would think about it.
Yeah,
If it's just one thing, I'll think about what I'm going to buy, right? So
yeah.
we usually talk about that. We used to use the word kaku, right? So I used to kaku in quotes, right? But then I then had this budget plus my kakuing abilities, so it kind of made it worse for me, right? So then some of the things I wanted to really enjoy, I just couldn't because for example, I want to buy something that's worth $500. Let's talk about like the
Well, is
PlayStation
it
5 that's
that
coming out.
you just couldn't? So it's just you can't do it in the moment. However, delayed gratification, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And that's the learning, and that's what you're going to learn with budgeting, right? So because the thing is, sometimes you just want to do it in the moment and just want to get it over with and enjoy it. But then
Yeah.
with budgeting, you then learn to plan for it.
Yeah.
So, for example, instead of it being like $500 at the spot, you can break it down to $100 per month, and then you get it in 6 months. So that's what I learned about budgeting, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then using that also, I learned about how I should be able to say no to some things
Yeah.
because it's a need versus want kind of situation. Do I need this thing? Do I want this thing? If it's that I don't need it per se, I can always look away and be like, you know what, not now, maybe in the future, but for right now, I don't need it. And then and what you will realize is that you might really not need it and you don't get it.
Yeah.
Like that urge, that desire is gone. And you look at
Yeah.
that thing and you're like, maybe I should have got in the first place. An example is an Apple Watch. There was a time in my life I thought that I needed an Apple Watch so bad. And I was like, I'm gonna get this. And that's it. When I want something, I start telling everyone around me. And my friends
Everybody.
keep hearing about it over and over again. I was like, I want an Apple Watch, I want an Apple Watch, I want an Apple Watch. But then eventually I just kind of like looked back and I was like, okay, I'm not going to spend money on an Apple Watch now. I'm going to chill. And then in chilling, I then realized I don't need it. I've got my iPad, I've got my iPhone, I've got other gadgets that can make up for the Apple Watch. Although there's the functionality of the Apple Watch, don't get me wrong. There's all the Apple Watch and what it does that
Yeah.
is really nice. So
I'm
I'm
in
just
that
saying,
boat too. I can't lie. I'm
yeah,
wanting an
exactly.
Apple Watch, but I can't justify the purchase yet.
Exactly. So then I didn't do it. So budgeting does that to you. So I kept learning about myself and also how to stay diligent with your budget is another thing I learned. What do I mean? I can break down a budget and I keep going over the budget for every time I make the budget. I make my budget monthly, right? So I can make January and I go over January. Make February, I go over February. Make March, I go over March. And then I feel sad about it. But then I start to talk to my friends, and then my friend said, like for example, I was talking to Sean the other day, and she was telling me about how you can move things around in your budget.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. And I didn't know about that.
It's a flexible budget.
Yeah, I used to be so hard on myself, right? If I'm budgeting like $200 for like groceries, and I go over 200 bucks in groceries, I get so mad at myself. And then she was like, why are
Mm.
you getting so mad at yourself? That 50 bucks that you spent over groceries, why don't you move it
Just move
to
it
something
from
like,
entertainment or something.
yeah, exactly, to something like eating out, or even
Mhm.
to something like, spending, and just
Yeah.
balance it out. I didn't know that. Well, it's something that's logical, but I didn't think of it that way. I just thought that
Hmm.
you have a budget, you have to stick to it, you have to be hard on yourself and get this budget going right.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things I learned. And then other things I learned in budgeting is also the fact that when you budget, you get to get it's how like this. The more you budget, the more you have things that you've always wanted in your life.
True.
What do I mean? What do I
True.
mean? What do I mean? I technically don't have something that I need urgently right now in my life because I budgeted for it and I got it.
Hmm.
I don't know how to explain this.
No, I get it completely.
Maybe you can help me put this to words.
Yeah.
Uh, like I would say I have all that I want, but I have all that I need
Yeah.
because I put it in my budget.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example. Okay, let me give you a good example. I went to Nigeria in December. So I went to Nigeria. I first went to Ghana, then I went to Nigeria. My friend was getting married, so I went to Ghana for the wedding, and then I went to Nigeria, right? And I can specifically say the whole trip I didn't use credit card for it.
Yep.
Everything was strictly off, budgeting. Everything was strictly off,
Hmm.
paying for it out of
Yeah.
cash and all that, right? But then during the trip, there were some things that I wanted to buy, but I couldn't get. But then I looked back at the end of the trip and I realized that everything that I wanted on that trip, I got it.
Mm.
It wasn't, I didn't get, I didn't ball out like say I would have wanted, but everything that I look back at that trip, I did it. I
Mm.
gave gifts to my family. I went to
Nice.
Ghana. I
Nice.
afforded the hotel we stayed. I afforded, things I wanted to buy. I
Yeah.
was able to give gifts to the couple. I
Yeah.
went to Nigeria. I was able to hang out with my friends, and I was able to pay
Yeah.
for some of the things that I wanted to buy there.
Hmm.
I went for this show. I went for that show. I could afford it. And then, like I said, I look back and I realized that I was able to do all the things I needed to do. Did I
Mm.
go popping champagne? No, I didn't. So
The
I'm not
people
trying
that
to do
bomb
that, right?
champagne most times they're not on the budget.
Exactly. So I ain't trying to do that, right? But then everything I needed to do, family, friends, having fun in the space of my budget or in the confines of my budget, I was
Mm.
able to do it. And
Yeah.
then upon coming back to Canada, I was not trying to pay up any credit card.
Yep.
I was not trying to. Although January I had to make some adjustments. In all
Mm.
honesty, I had to make some adjustments because I had to do some work on my car. So I had to pay for that. So I had to make some adjustments. But really,
Yeah.
I didn't come back to drink Gary in quotes.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't come back to drink Gary in quotes because I planned and I executed and I got what I wanted.
Hmm.
So yeah, really. So budgeting is something that I'm learning about. I'm still learning about it too now. I'm
Yeah.
improving. I'm getting better at budgeting, but it's one of those things.
Yeah. I like how you
Yeah,
said,
that's.
and I see that someone actually tagged. They said I have all that I need because I put it in my budget. You know, like I was talking
Mm,
to a friend the other day. She loves shoes. She knows
mm-hmm,
herself, and she was talking about how budgeting and whatnot and her shoe addiction. And I said, there's nothing wrong. Like the way you were just talking about popping champagne. There's nothing wrong with popping champagne. Nothing wrong with buying shoes.
mm-hmm,
Nothing. Just
mm-hmm,
put in your budget. Make sure it works.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Because what a budget
mm-hmm.
simply is what's coming in versus what is going out. At the end of the day, it should be
Exactly,
zero, meaning you're not living
exactly.
above your means. You know, there's nothing wrong
Means
if you want to
exactly.
buy anything you want to buy, just work it into the budget. If you want to buy a
Mm-hmm.
$1,000 bag and there's no space in your budget this month, put $200
True,
towards it,
true,
and
true,
then
true, true,
next month
true.
put another 200. In like you said, six
Mm-hmm,
months, 7 months, boom, you buy your bag, you're good.
mm-hmm,
9 out of 10 times, when the
mm-hmm.
6 months comes, you won't want to spend the money.
True, true, true.
Yeah,
Exactly. You
know
then realize that it was just
that you
you're
really
just feeling
don't.
like it then, and you don't
Yeah,
need it, and you move on.
yeah, it
And even
really.
the rush, the craze. Another thing is the craze, right? There's the craze
Mm,
of getting it now. For
yeah.
example, there's the craze of getting PlayStation 5 now. So everyone's talking about
PS5.
PS5
Even
right
me,
now.
self, I
Yeah,
want one.
everyone's talking about PS5 right now, and I want to get it, but I'm also like, we gotta plan for this. So
Mm,
I'm just gonna let that craze go over into 2021.
mm,
And then in 2021, I will get it, JJ. I still
yeah.
have my PlayStation 4. I'm sure it's not going to get damaged to when I get my PlayStation
Right?
5. But the craze is going crazy right now. Like it was even like the pre-order, like they ran out of space for the pre-order, and I was like,
Yeah.
like people are going crazy. But then I'm gonna just let that craze go over, and then January, February,
Mm.
we'll now spend cash for it, and we'll get it, and we're not owing anybody, and
Right?
nobody's looking for us. That's the plan, sha. But that's what happens when you budget. In all
Yeah.
honesty, it keeps you up. It keeps that all that emotions and all that craziness. You
Yeah,
keep
it
it in
keeps
check.
it like, okay,
Yeah, you keep it
Sempe,
in check.
calm down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you go to the mall and blow up all your credit card on stuff that you don't need because it's
Mm-hmm.
30% off, it's 40% off, it's 50% off. Like even
75% off.
percentage doesn't even get me anymore. Like you see something like 70% off, I'm like, and then I'm thinking like, maybe not. And then
Yeah, it's
that
still
passes and
$40
then
I'm gonna spend, or it's still $120. It's still
mm-hmm,
money leaving
mm-hmm,
my
mm-hmm.
account.
Yes, exactly.
hmm
But anyways, I do agree. So I was just gonna ask that. Yeah, I do agree with you.
Okay. So just because of time, we have about 20 minutes left. I'm gonna go into the last three questions. Um
Okay.
so what's the best story you have that being debt free has allowed you to do? I remember like when this pandemic started, stuff
Mm,
happened,
mm,
right? But like, what's
mm-hmm,
the best? What
mm,
are some of the best things that being, and I have like, for example, there's another person that's gonna come on the live too. Just her sharing some of the stuff that being there for has been able to help her do, even for her parents.
mm,
It's
mm,
really touching. So she knows herself.
mm.
She'll be on the live soon. But yeah,
Mhm. Um, I would say, okay, so when the pandemic happened in March, right? So when the whole shutdown thing happened in March, and companies started to just kind of shut down. My company, being one of those, so they asked everyone to go home for like 2 weeks first, and then eventually they were like, you know what, we're going to temporarily lay off everyone. So everyone's going to go on temporary layoff, and then they did that for like 3 months or so. But when that happened at first, I wasn't worried. I wasn't bothered about what the future would look like.
mm,
Now, let me say this. We didn't know we're going to get called back. So you know how everyone got laid off, how most people got laid off, and they were super worried, and it could definitely bring some element of depression, some element
yeah,
of
yeah,
anxiety, and all
yeah,
that, right? I
yeah.
saw it as a period of rest for me. I saw it
Mandatory
as a period of,
holiday.
yeah, I was like, yo, I've worked too hard. Like, I'm working hard for the last
Mm,
few years. I've not had this sit down on the couch moment for like a week and just do
yeah.
nothing, right? And so when that happened, because I had a plan with my finances, I was able to say, you know what, thank you for the temp layoff. I'm just going to rest. So
Mm,
being debt free allowed me to do that, to be honest.
mm,
I didn't have to worry about that payment, this payment, or that payment because I did
yeah,
not have any. What I had were my basic bills
yeah.
and just the regulars, right? Gas, electricity, even buying gas for your car. You're not going anywhere,
You're
so you
not
don't have
going
to worry
anywhere.
about that.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So you don't have to worry about that. So you will still have that, cash, that extra cash for yourself, right? So
Mm-hmm.
really, being debt free gave me the opportunity to rest during pandemic.
Mm.
Like I tell my friends, I went back to Naruto. So I'm a Naruto fan. I went back to
Oh,
Naruto and I,
nice.
I
You're all caught
and I
up.
finished because I didn't finish
Nice.
Naruto, right? And I finished Naruto during pandemic. So
Mm.
that's just an example of things that he allowed me to do, right? So I
Yeah.
I I wasn't worried. I just rested during the pandemic
Yeah.
because I had a plan because I was
Yeah.
debt free and no one was chasing me and I wasn't chasing anyone.
Yeah.
So I'll really say that was something I look back and I really thank God for. And
Yeah.
then
It
when
puts
they called
things
us,
in
yeah,
perspective.
yeah, exactly. And when they called us back to work, I wasn't owing anyone, right? No one
Right?
was owing me.
Mm.
I do thank God for the serve because there was the serve that was available
But
that
even
was able to
before
help.
SERP came into place,
Yeah,
even
yes.
before it came into place, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
Like
because I
anything
do
could
thank
have
God for serve
happened.
because it helped ease a lot of stress, but then really I wasn't Seb was not my life or my budget wasn't factored on Seb. Seb was an
Exactly.
add-on for me. Seb was just
Yeah.
like, oh, thank God for Seb, but I wasn't really looking forward to Seb. I wasn't chasing Seb all over the place. But
Mm-hmm.
Seb was I thank God for Seb, but I had my own plan.
Yeah. It's
So
that
so though
desperation aspect that it takes out.
mm-hmm,
That
yeah, yeah.
sometimes I think people underestimate. Like I'll share my own story too. So like this year, my father passed away like in June, and
Mm,
one of the best things, like someone was asking me, and I was just like, if getting your finances in order, there was no benefit to it. This one showed me there
mm,
was, because like not myself
mm,
and my husband, we were able to take time off Like, we didn't
Mm,
care whether we're paid or not. We're able to take time off to
mm,
actually just be, to mourn, to, like actually get our
mm-hmm,
minds in order. Do you get?
mm,
Without actually worrying
mm-hmm,
about, oh, mortgage, oh, this, oh, that. You know what I mean? Because we
mm,
now have the time
mm,
to actually take time to do what is needful and
mm-hmm,
what's necessary,
mm-hmm,
and you don't have that
mm-hmm.
desperation behind your.
No,
It
no,
takes
no, you don't.
desperation out of your decision making, and that
Exactly,
alone is a
exactly.
gift. Because
Yeah,
nine out of ten
it
times,
is underrated. Yeah, it's super
it is.
underrated.
It
Yeah,
truly is.
the ability not to have the ability to just calm down, pray about something, and not be
Mm-hmm.
pressured into things. You
Yes.
have so this is me going. This is me about to preach a little bit.
Go
But you
left.
have people. You have people trying to make decisions, right? For example, you're about to make a decision about a job, right? You're about to make a decision
Mm,
about two jobs, for example. You have one job that's paying so well. You have a job that is not paying that well. But then
mm.
you pray about it, and in your
You
mind,
can
you can
hear
hear God
clear.
tell you, yeah. So you can hear God say, go with a job that doesn't pay less. But then because of your bills and your finances and all these debts,
Mm,
you are like inclined to go with a job that pays so well.
yeah.
And then that leads to you actually disobeying God, right?
Mm,
So you being able to even be debt free allows you to obey God
yeah.
better. It makes
Yeah.
life easier when it comes to some of the decisions that you're gonna
I
make.
actually
It
have
makes
an
it.
example for what you just talked about. So, like
Mm,
for us, like we were living in a big city, we both
mm-hmm,
had good jobs, right? We had no
mm-hmm,
reason to
mm-hmm.
leave the
Yeah, I
city,
remember that.
but we've been sensing that God wanted us to move, right?
Mm-hmm,
And it wasn't because
mm-hmm,
of when we got here, like we both got jobs here. It wasn't because they were paying any more or anything, but because we were
mm-hmm,
not moved by money, it wasn't a
mm,
decision of,
exactly,
oh, we
exactly.
actually took time to pray, to hear God, and say,
Mm-hmm,
okay, what's the
mm-hmm,
reason? But we knew God wanted us to move. We both resigned
mm-hmm.
good jobs for jobs that were
Yep,
pretty much equal. You know what I mean? So at the end of the
exactly,
day, to say
exactly,
what you're saying, like at the end of the day, it's all about redeeming time and being able to do
exactly,
what God called you to do without having the stress
exactly,
of the weight,
exactly.
of unnecessary
Mm-hmm.
burdens on your head. Okay,
Yeah, I totally agree.
okay. So I guess before we wrap up, we've already talked about pretty much everything on my list. So does anybody have any questions? Any questions? I'm going to save the last one for the very last, and then we'll go from there. Any questions? Let me see. Let me just scroll
I actually
through
talked a lot
the.
today.
You what?
I actually talked a lot today. I'm more
You
introverted
did.
than
I'm
this,
so
but
proud.
I'm more laid back than this, but it's all good. Maybe because I'm passionate about this topic. But yeah, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Oh, please, can you share your story of your change from whole life insurance to term life insurance?
Oh yeah. Okay.
How? What were you paying?
Okay. Okay. So, okay, quickly. So we went for this program with one of
No names. No
this
names. No
financial group.
names. Mm.
Yeah, that's what I'm not going to connect. We do this financial group. They advised us to go with whole life. The fact that you have an investment portion to it, and then you have life insurance sounded so good, sounded so exciting. We
Mm.
we all did it. So we that went, well, not all, the two of us, me and my roommate then. So my roommate and I, we went for the program. We enjoyed what they said, and we did it. So we got whole life. We had this financial portion. We had this, life insurance portion, and we're so happy with ourselves. Listening to Dave Ramsey, listening to all the podcasts, and just people's examples, especially people that clocked age 70 and 80, talking about how their whole life insurance, and when they were
Nonsense.
30, I'm telling you, so they'll talk about how when they were 30 they started whole life insurance, and then they spent 40 years paying for whole life insurance, and it was time to take out that investment portion, and
Nothing.
I'm telling you, and the money they take out of the investment portion cannot even amount to anything. So hearing all of that, I was like, what's going on here?
Wait.
So I think I remember
Damn.
calling you. I think
Uh,
I remember calling you because I was like, Fikayo, this term insurance thing and this whole life, what's really going on? And then you kind of explained everything to me. And then I was like, oh yeah, okay, I'm deciding this. And then I decided to switch to term.
yeah.
I remember calling my financial advisor. I was like, it's time to leave this for, and she just kept advising, no, don't do this. No, don't do that. Oh my gosh, you're going to lose money. She was like, you're going to lose because there's the investment portion, right? You're going to lose all of this money from investment portion. It's going to be
Sorry.
about 3 grand. She was like, it's
Sorry.
going to be about 3 grand and all. I'm like, see, it is 3,000 I'm going to lose right now. It's fine. As long as in the future, I'm not losing like 30, 80, you don't know how much you're going to lose,
More.
like
Way
90K
more.
in the future, right? So I'm like, you know what? They can have it, they can take it because I'm cutting the contract short, the coach, right? They
Mm-hmm.
can have it, just get me out, and fine.
Mm.
And then I remember just setting up the term insurance, and that was it. I got out
Yeah.
of that, financial dump into this life. And then I started saving more
No.
because I was paying more. I was paying more on whole life. I was
For
paying a lot
less
more on whole life.
coverage.
Yeah, exactly. I think I was paying like $100, and then I switched to something that I was paying $30. So
Yeah.
it was a switch. It was a switch. So I thank
Okay.
God I got out of that dump early. Yeah, I was
Sometimes when
excited
I
for
talk
this.
to people about it, they don't get it, and I'm hoping that to shed light, because 9 out of 10 times it's always your auntie, sister's brother's cousin that gets you into money
Mm,
life, because they
I
themselves
mean,
don't really understand it.
I mean, even the life insurance thing, right? People even being able to get life insurance is something that people don't want to hear about.
Yep.
Like, for example, you walk up to a Christian, you're like, you should get life insurance, and they're talking to you about,
Ah.
are you saying that I'm going to die soon, or are you talking about how? And I'm like, no. See, I don't feel I'm dying anytime soon, and I'm not going to die
Yep.
anytime soon. You get me? Like, I've got Christ on the side of me, and my life is secured, and I'm going to prosper on this earth, right? But yet again, I have this life insurance as like, this fall back on. Like, I'm not, see, for example, I'm not even worried about what my parents are going to
Mm.
be like if I was to die. Because
Mm.
they're going to be well taken care of, right? Because I have this life insurance, like that I'm covering that aspect of my life for. So if something were to happen to me, like they're going to get this payout from life insurance. My company is going to give them this payout from another life insurance. So
Yep.
it's like double payout
Mm-hmm.
for them. So these are some of the financial things that you have to start thinking about that will make you decide about things you're going to do for your future.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not even worried about what will happen to me if something were to happen to me. Like
Yeah.
I'm not even worried about that. You get me?
Yeah.
Because I know I have a plan for them. So
Yeah.
really, life insurance as a whole, I think is something that people should look into. Is another thing that will make you sleep all at night. That's
Yep.
all I'll say. It's
Yeah.
just another
Like I
thing that
always
will
say,
make you sleep all.
it's part of the
Yeah, go
defense
ahead.
portion, when it comes to your finances. There's the defense side, there's the
Yeah,
offense side. The defense side
yeah,
must be,
exactly.
like any soccer game, if your defense is weak, I don't care how awesome
Mm,
your attackers are,
mm-hmm,
chances
mm-hmm,
are anything can happen.
mm-hmm,
Okay,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
so we're going into the last, I guess, 9 minutes. So I guess the last thing I'm going to ask is, so far on your journey, do you have a giving story you want to share? Like, what's been the best giving story? If you have one to share, no pressure. You don't have to share if you don't want to.
What do you mean giving story? What do you mean?
So you
Like
know how we
something
always
that
talk about, at the end of the day, freeze up your finances. To give. Sorry, someone just typed that she got life insurance, and somebody said they're going to tell her dad that she got life insurance. Your dad will be proud of you. Don't worry.
your dad will be all right. Your dad will be so all right.
Yeah.
Not that you're not going anywhere, but your dad will be all
You're not going
right. Okay,
anywhere. Don't
giving.
worry. See, don't let
Okay.
anybody put fear in your heart at all. Getting life insurance is
Mm,
part of a solid financial plan. It has nothing to do with,
mm,
because whether we like it
mm,
or not, everybody is going to. Do you get? So you might as well
mm-hmm,
prepare. And it's not
mm-hmm.
because you're preparing for anything. It's to take care of the people that you're going to leave behind. And
Exactly.
what better way to leave a legacy, right, than to make sure that the
Mm-hmm.
ones you love, the ones you
Exactly.
care about, are actually taken care of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And especially because it's so cheap. I think for me, when most times when I talk to people and they realize how cheap it is, like $20, some
Mm,
30. I think you said you
mm-hmm.
paid 30. I paid
Mm-hmm.
20
Mine,
something,
mine
my
is
husband
30.
pays 30 something. The two of us combined
Mm-hmm.
is less than $60 a month. If we go to Boston
Mm-hmm.
Pizza
Mm-hmm.
one day, we will spend that
Yeah,
money.
exactly.
you
Exactly.
know?
True. True.
So
True.
yeah. Um
Um, so to answer your question,
uh-huh.
okay, so mine is not really, I won't say mine is, I won't say mine is that big of a story, right?
It doesn't have
Um,
to be, because
oh
see,
yeah,
I
so
think it's the
okay.
recipients. For us, the givers, it's not a big deal. But 9 out of 10 times, you have no idea just how deep it is for the recipient.
Mm. Okay, so mine is a bit of giving here and there, but I think one of the biggest one was so there was this one time my younger sister, okay, well, so my younger sister traveled to the UK for school,
Mm.
and she buzzed me at some point and she was like, yo, I need to pay for this rent. And
Mm.
it wasn't that she didn't have the money, but she had the money in Naira. But in order for her to transfer the money in Naira and all of that was a long thing.
Yeah,
And she needed someone to pay online so that she doesn't get kicked out next week, right?
yeah,
So she's
yeah,
going to get kicked out next week. And she was like, oh, transferring to Naira and even paying was a long thing. And then she called me and she was like, yo, can you help me with this? And I already planned I was going to give her a certain amount of money, right? But it
mm.
wasn't up to the rent. So I was
Yeah,
going to give her, I think I was going to give her, like, for example, I think I was going to give her like $300, but the rent was in the ranges of about 600, 700. I can't really remember. And then she called me, she's like, yo, this and that. And then I was like, okay, yeah, fine. And then I paid for the stuff. I paid for our rent just to
Aw.
secure that month, right? And I was like, yo, fine, yeah, stuff. And then I was sitting there and I was like, I looked at my budget and I was like, I can actually afford to give her this money and not even collect it back or even just
Yeah.
bother about it. You know what? I just picked up and I was like, you know what? Forget about this. You
I
can
got
keep it.
you.
I got
Aw.
it. And then she was just like, are you for real? Are you sure? I can send you Naira. I can send you this. Don't worry. Because she could be like, I can send you the difference. I can send, I'm like, you know what? I've always wanted to give you something for like, you being in the UK and stuff. So, you know what? Let this one be
Mm.
that thing. You can go ahead and have it. And then I was like, bam. And then
Wow.
for a long time, I've been wanting to feel like that big brother now. Oh, you know what I'm talking about. I just felt like that, that big brother was like, I got my younger sister anytime,
You
right?
know?
She could call me anytime, kind of thing, right? But
Yeah.
it really felt good. It really felt
Yeah.
good. I mean, I felt happy about it. And for me, I just kind of got to a point where like this is what I wanted to always do. Like
Yeah.
it's something that I've always wanted to do.
Mm.
I've always wanted to just be that person that if someone walks up and like, oh no, my car got burnt and I don't have a car.
One
And they're
time.
like, yo, that's what I'm saying. And yo, my family needs a place. And I'm like, oh, how much? How much? Oh, 2 grand. Don't worry. Take.
You got
Or
it. Mm-hmm.
don't worry. So I've always wanted to be that person.
Yeah.
So to be able to do that, it just kind of it let me see that my drive, my passion, all the things I planned for my finances was actually coming to realization. Like
Yeah.
all my goals for my finances was coming
Mm.
into
Thank
reality.
God.
So it kind of pushed me to do more. So
Mm.
really, so there are other examples of little changes here and there that I've been able
Yeah.
to give. Honestly, like I can say this year, like I've been able to give more than I could ever. It's not like
Oh
I'm
yeah.
balling, don't get me
Oh
wrong.
yeah.
It's not like there's money in the bank and stuff. I talked about I'm struggling to even
In
finish
other
up
words,
my
nobody should DM you after this
yeah,
live.
I mean, they can. What they get is what they get. No is no. So it's not like I'm balling and all that because, like I said, I'm still struggling to finish my baby step three. And
Mm.
it's not like baby step three is 20K self. It's a
Mm.
small change that I'm struggling to save up, right?
Mm.
But because I have freedom or I have allowances to give more, I'm
Freedom.
giving
Yep.
more. Yeah, I'm giving more, and it makes me happy. I'm happy about it.
Mm.
I'm legit happy. When you see that I have a smile on my face, it's things
Mm.
like this that I remember that makes me smile. When
Mm.
someone is able to say, wow, thank you so much. When someone's able to,
Yeah.
wow, I could call on you and I could count on you.
And you
Or
could
when I'm able to
count.
tell someone,
Yeah.
yes, or when I'm able to tell someone that, like, I'm able to tell someone that if you need anything, call me.
And you
And
can
I know I
actually
can go
answer the
look.
call.
Exactly. I can go look at my budget and be like, I'm able to answer that call.
Mm-hmm.
In the past, I can't even tell you to call me if you need anything because even me saying I need someone to call. Like I remember then I was like looking forward to my cousin sending me money. I'm like,
Get,
hey, when is
get.
my cousin going to let me drop something for boys now. But now being able to plan, like I
Mm.
went to the States, I went to Nigeria, and then in like 2 months I went to US for my cousin's birthday in
All
Houston.
on
I
cash.
planned, all on cash, no credit card.
Mm-hmm.
I planned everything. I got to Houston, and my cousin was like, "Wow, you came! It was a surprise." And I was like,
Oh,
"Yo, I came to
nice.
surprise you," and I was able to afford that. And my mom was like, "Ah, in the past, just to go for Christmas last one,
You'll
you
be
hey,
thinking,
hey,
thinking.
hey,
Yes, sir.
only God will provide." But
Yeah.
I was able to do that. I went to the
Mm.
States, and I came back, and I wasn't worried about finances. I
Mm.
remember when my car had an issue that they said I had to fix all my tires about a grand or so. I was able to fix my
Just
tires
do it one time.
and I just adjusted my budget and I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's fine. And I was able to get back on the road. In the past,
Mm.
if I fix my tires, I
Mm.
would tell everybody because everybody has to know my account is bleeding so that you don't pressure me. I will tell you, I'll tell Fikai, I'll tell Kenny rather, I'll tell my friends that see, come, all this eating out, it can't happen for 1 month though,
I'm
because
not there.
account is red. But anyway, sir, really just being able to give more is
Mm.
something that I'm grateful for when it comes to
Okay.
like the idea of being debt free.
Okay. So we have exactly 1 minute and 1 minute left. So any last
Okay.
words in less than a minute so we
Um,
can wrap up on time?
just start it. I think that's what it is for me.
I
Just
like that.
start it. I mean, if it's just $50, $20, just start it. When I started, I had nothing. Like I said, not like I have everything, but I remember when I laid out my debts and I was like, how would I get to the end? I like
Mm.
how, and just watch God help you. Like
Yeah.
God would help you. Trust God will help you. So start today.
Start. Final
today.
word. Thank you. Thank you so
Take that
much.
first step.
Mhm. Thank
Awesome.
you all so much for joining. We have 20 seconds left. If you have any questions, please send it to the DMs. Send myself or send Leye a question, and we'll be having another live. We'll let you know. Follow Fix It Finance, for other
Yeah, follow
finance
Fixie Finance.
updates, and let us know if you have any questions. So in 3 seconds, we'll be off. Thank you all so much for joining. Leye, I really